And welcome back, boys and girls, children of all ages, to another Reality Skewed Gamers review. Asoka Episode 5, The Shadow Warrior. Holy God in heaven. Oh my God. We thought last week's episode was amazing, and it was. This one said, hold my beer. This one
For
was
real.
incredible. Before we get into it, make sure you hit the like, subscribe. It says on YouTube. If you like the video content, feel free to leave a comment. Just let us know what you think of the Ahsoka show this episode, particularly. I thought it was absolutely one of my favoriteest Star Wars things I've ever seen. That being said, Kate Gaming, I see you smiling over there. I think you've got the same kind of feels I do on this episode. What did you think?
I really liked it. I enjoyed it. I don't know if I would say it's like my favorite Star Wars episode, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Had a
What?
little bit of everything.
All right. Thanos Kyrellus, what about you?
I did not enjoy it.
What a
Whoa!
surprise!
A surprise. Thane always disagrees with
God.
us.
Yeah, Jesus
I don't
Christ.
mean to. I wanted to. I'm sorry.
I don't know. What's wrong with you, man? This is such good shit, man. I don't get it, man.
Then
Well, we'll
again,
go
we're
by
like
this.
opposite. Everything Thane likes, I don't like, and everything
I
I like, he
know.
doesn't like. It's like that's how it
I like a
is.
Ouija board.
Exactly, and I
Yeah,
don't.
yeah. So Thane likes death and
No,
sadness.
boy.
We like life and happiness. Okay, I'm seeing the dynamic play out here. All
Pretty much.
right, all right. Thane, what did you not like about it? Let me just get this out of the way because I'm going to be firing on
No,
all
no.
cylinders.
Let's go. Let's go piece by piece. Let's leave the overalls for the end. Let's dissect the episode.
I mean, we can, but I mean, okay, all right, so we'll do it that way then. Because I just like to give you guys general thoughts in the initial. So we have a start, great opening scene of the planet, very still, leading up into the scene where the gate is. You see the orb split in half, which I really love because that's very symbolic of what happened in this episode, the duality of a lot of things. You see Hera come out of there, and then Jason comes down. I love Jason in the show so far. He has been, he could have been one of those characters, those kid characters where I'm like, but he has been absolutely awesome. They come out. He asked if he could, explore a little bit. She's like, yeah, but stay close. Then they get that scene. She hears something. She goes around the corner. There's Huang holding Sabine's
Hmm.
helmet. And God, the performance of David Tennant. Huang, it's becoming fast my favorite droid. My goodness. Between him and Chopper, man, they're nailing the
No, nothing
droids.
can compete with
I
Chopper.
know. I mean,
Chopper's the
the
best.
murder
Like,
droid,
I
yeah.
will stand my ground there.
But God Almighty, the way he performs that scene, like I told him to stay together. It
Hmm.
just God, it was gut wrenching to see that. And then that's what happened, and I think it cuts into the crawls. It gets into Jason moving forward, and then you see I think the X-Wings are flying around, but then it gets into they have their back and forth, and then it cuts to the show title Ahsoka. So I mean, I love that scene. That scene with the gang was so powerful because it's just like I told them to stay together. You can just tell this droid who's lived thousands and thousands of years, trained so many Jedi, that he actually feels the loss and pain that he probably is formulating in his head that he's just lost two more students, basically, are followers of the Jedi way. Uh, let's Kate. Before I go to you, let's go to Thane over there. All right, pretend.
Mr.
Yeah,
Negativity.
pretend Hokage. What
No,
do you got?
I like this episode. So I agree with everything you just
What? You
said. Like
just
You
the
said
just
you
episode.
said you
don't
didn't
like
like
it.
it.
What are you talking
No,
about?
I said I didn't enjoy the episode as a whole. Doesn't mean I can't enjoy certain parts of the episode. But I did
You
like the
literally
assist
just
scene.
said you liked the episode, and then
No, I said I like the scene. The scene.
Okay,
okay,
we're gonna have to
I
watch
like the
this
scene.
one. We're gonna have to watch this guy. Okay,
yeah.
he's Trixie.
So yeah, so no, I agree with you. I enjoyed the scene very much. You're right. Like I agree with you. That droid is becoming, is quickly becoming one of my favorite droids in Star Wars. I'm normally not a droid guy. Um,
The
you
droids
know,
are so funny though.
I know, I know, but but I'm normally not a droid guy, but I guess because he's not funny, he's not a comedic really. I mean, he kind of is, but he plays a more serious role, and he brings a lot of emotional weight to scenes, not just this one, but like other scenes as well. And he's a little more organically funny for me versus just slapstick funny like most of their droids. So I agree with everything you said. Like just you could like even though he's the droid, just the body language, the eyes, everything that happened, you could just feel the sadness, and you can almost like you could feel like he's like almost in depression in that scene. It was yeah, it was great. Like because when I saw that, I was like, damn. I was like, oh, all right.
All right, Kate, your thoughts on this opening scene before we get into the meat and potatoes of after the idol is shown on the screen. What did you think of this opening sequence?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you guys. It's kind of like a pretty powerful scene, but I think the thing that I was thinking during it is he's lost, like, because you said he has lived thousands of years. He's lived through Order 66, where they basically wiped out almost all the Jedi. So for him, it's huge because there wasn't many Jedi to begin with. And taking two of them, well, Sabine's not a Jedi, but
Yeah, but
Asoka
yeah.
is, well, she's trained in the
Yes,
Jedi
so
way. Close enough, but you can
Yeah,
just
to him,
see
she's a Jedi.
yeah, but so it's like he's taking it as it's another Jedi lost.
Yeah.
Which I think when you experience a lot of loss, that's a normal reaction, the one that Hugh Yang had.
Yeah.
So
It was really good. All right, Kate, I'm going to go to you first on this because then we get what we have been geeking out over. Anakin meets
yes.
Ahsoka, and oh my God, Hayden Christensen throughout this was phenomenal.
Yes.
Thank God we got Hayden getting some love finally, and to be able to actually do some incredible acting and scene. And I'm also going to so because we'll talk about this. The girl that played young Ahsoka, she actually played Gamora, young Gamora in Endgame, and she's played some other parts. I think Barbie and stuff. I don't remember her name, but she's incredible. Oh my gosh, she's incredible.
She was really good.
But before we get to there, we have Anakin and Ahsoka meet up, and you see them looking at each other. And I gotta say, last week I didn't care about the deep fake, but I could see people, with the look of Anakin, like, it looks pretty bad. Man, this is about the best deep fake crap I've ever seen. They made Hayden look ridiculously good. I mean, it was incredible. I kept staring at him like, I know that's Hayden, but man, they did a great job. Jesus Christ. But he has that moment. He's like, you look old. And then she says, well, that happens, and,
yeah.
And then says, why, reminds us like, why you're here? No. Like, do you remember anything? And then she remembers, then he tells her, you lost a fight. Mm-hmm. And she says, no, yeah, I remember Balin. And says, oh, you do remember. That's good. Because that means you're still have a chance. Chance at what? Chance to live. And it's just like, so what am I here for? It's like your final lesson. And I'm like, yes, because we've had this conflict with Ahsoka this entire show. One of the complaints is that she's been very solemn and focused and everything. But we said this on this review. Ahsoka's been through hell in a handbasket, right? And this is what this is what this is supposed to get her out of. And this is done so perfectly. But it's like, you can either live or you can die. And the fight scene, the lightsaber fights in this were great. See, Hayden Christensen as Anakin doing that stuff, man. They're having their fight. So I go to you, Kate. This opening part between Anakin and Ahsoka was so good. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking of it. What did you think?
I mean, I absolutely loved it. I've always really loved Hayden Christensen's acting. So just seeing that he's getting more love, I definitely really like that. But I think it's definitely we're going to see a different Ahsoka from here on out, because it's kind of like almost like a wake-up call that she needed, because the whole time, like, I've been thinking too, I'm like, she's kind of just there, if that makes sense. Like, she's not
she's questioning herself or in her she had the thing where she's like, I'm Anakin's apprentice, I need to watch myself. And I need to pull away because having attachments led Anakin to this. doing
Yes.
this led this to this. He trained me as a warrior so I could end up like this, the pull of the dark side. That was what's been holding her back from really seeing her full potential. This is what this covers. It's
Yeah.
so well executed, this opening sequence of just them two feeling out each other and stuff. Him trying to teach her things. Thane, what did you think of this opening sequence between Anakin and Ahsoka?
Opening sequence was good. I enjoyed the opening sequence. What comes later is where I have issues with it, but at least in this beginning part, the setup to it was done really well. I agree with you guys. Deep fake stuff looks as a plus plus. It looks amazing. Um, as far as his acting goes, it is the best thing of this episode, bar none. Like it's his performance as Anakin. When we get to the various stages of him as well, he's able to encapsulate that prequel Anakin and that Clone Wars Anakin. So his acting is, that guy should work for the rest of his life as an actor without an issue. Everybody should be hiring him because
Yeah, but a lot of people gave him issues because of Anakin.
And I'm a big.
But that's Lucas though.
Yeah, that's
no, I get it. I'm just
writing,
saying, like, I would love to see him get more acting jobs, but I know he said, I think, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he has said in the past that his role as Anakin had
detrimental effects, man. It really
pretty
did.
much,
yeah. That's because all those OT fans grilled him to death. But all those prequel fans have grown up, and now we're like,
they're all like,
I've always liked him. I always thought he was a great actor.
I think he's a good actor, barring on getting better, and I think you can tell he's done the work to become even better. I've seen some of his other movies when he was younger, and yeah, it was okay. I liked some of it. Some of it was like, ugh. But I don't blame Hayden Christensen. He was given what he was given.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the lines, the dialogue, they intentionally went that way with him on purpose. So yeah.
I mean, he did what he was told.
Yeah.
Like, what are you gonna
He's
do?
a young
You're
kid, man.
getting hired to do a job.
Yeah,
You're
19-year-old
gonna
gonna
do
be
what
like,
you're
I don't
told.
want to do that.
But like to be able to encapsulate all the different phases of Anakin is
Oh yeah, we're getting
amazing.
Yeah, let's get into that now because they have the scene. We'll go back to. I'm going to break this down in two parts: the stuff with Anakin and Ahsoka, and then the other stuff because I think this will work better for us. So then you come back to Anakin and Ahsoka; they're fighting still, and then Ahsoka gets the fantastic move, kicks him in the head, and says, "Looks like you don't have any much to teach me." He says, "Oh, girl," then
you just wait.
and cuts out the space in them, and she falls. And she falls, and then the mist turns red, and then you see, and it took me a second to look at her. I'm like, no, they didn't. Yes,
I freaked out
did.
when
I freaked
it showed
out
like
too.
Clone Wars Ahsoka. She's wearing her same
Oh
outfit too.
God,
I freaked out.
so good, and
Anakin's wearing the same outfit too.
I know, and their dialogue. So you see the clones coming, and at first I couldn't realize where it was until I saw the Twi'leks, and then I'm like, okay, that's Ryloth. Okay, it took me a minute or two to figure out which battle this was, and it's
Battle of Teeth, right?
And this actress, she's playing older Ahsoka and younger Ahsoka's body, but playing both at the same time. She does an incredible job because they're having that banter, like, this is the Clone Wars, and Anakin's like, yeah. Why are we here? It's like, what about my training? It's like, this is your training. And so you see the opening part of the battle, and then you get that great scene, because if you hadn't watched Rebels or Clone Wars, I'm sorry, Ahsoka really cared about her clones, and she really learned some tough lessons. And you see her holding that one. It was such a powerful scene and moment where she holds the clone's hand, and that's really been hurt, and his face is covered, and he just reaches her hand over, and she starts crying, and she remembers her mistake where she's like, my mistake led to this whole battalion getting killed. And then Anakin's like, yeah, but we're Jedi, we're leaders, this is a war, and it's just like, doesn't it bother you? And he's like, yeah, it bothers me, but we got to do the job. And then she's like, I wasn't trained for this. Like, I know, but we got to adapt. We're at war, and my job is to make you a soldier. And then then he kind of jokes with, he's like, talk about it if she wants a Padawan. And then he says, you know, hey, teaching isn't what it's all cracked up to be. It's like, are you joking right now? It's like, do you want me to be more serious? I have two goals: to make you a leader and to survive. You know, that's it. And it is such incredible dialogue and scene with all the stuff that's happening around them. I did see Rex in his
Oh,
original
I
Clone
freaked
War.
out.
Yeah,
I
saw
freaked out.
that.
I saw the helmet.
Yes.
I was like, that's
Yeah.
my Rex.
And he's like, you know, you have a choice. You can fight or you can die. You know, and then you see this incredible scene where he's walking with the clones because here comes the separatist droids again, and they're going to the battle again. Where you have that quick flash where he's walking with his saber down, and then you see the first glimpse of Darth Vader there.
Yeah,
My
that was
God,
crazy.
this whole sequence was just phenomenal. Kate, I'll get your thoughts in a second because I think you're on the same page I am. But Dane, what'd you think, buddy?
So yeah, so this is where it starts to kind of turn for me a little bit, um, because they set it up with the last scene, like, you know, this is like, I'm going to teach you the last lesson. But then when we go into this scene, it starts to become clear that this isn't a lesson that Anakin is going to teach Ahsoka. It's more like her trying to overcome her trauma, specifically her trauma over, like you said, right, about about being Anakin's apprentice and stuff. So we'll go on further on, but because that's the route they kind of wanted to take it, I feel like it wasn't well done overall. So, and then this is the beginning part of it, like, you know, because when I started watching this scene and stuff, and I'm like, okay, like, what is he trying to teach her? And you know, he's trying to make this like thing where it's like, oh, I'm teaching you to be a soldier, and it's almost like it's Ahsoka's inner dialogue telling her, this is what your master, you know, trained you to become. This is who you are. This is what you're supposed to be doing, you know. And you know, later on, just to like touch a little, just a little bit on later on, it's like, you know, he kind of, I'll save that later for later. But you know,
Okay.
the he you start seeing what this is going to be, and it's not what it was set up to be. It wasn't the like, you know, Anakin trying to teach him, and yeah, like the Clone Wars stuff is fun and all, but one of my criticisms about Filoni stuff in general is that he often uses nostalgia to hide, you know, messy, like on, like, you know, kind of a messy storytelling. So that's what this kind of felt like to me. He's trying to, like, I understand what he's going for, but be, because of how short those interactions were compared to the episode, like, you either needed more of that Clone War flashback stuff, or you needed more dialogue with Ahsoka and him fighting, which we'll get to those further sequences ahead. But this is where, like, it kind of started to turn a little bit for me, because it started to become more clear what journey we were going to go through with the following sequences with this nightmare sequence, or whatever you want to call it, dream state.
Oh, I disagree 1,000% with you, but that's okay. Kate, what do you think?
I mean, essentially, this is all in Ahsoka's mind. So she's going through like almost a little bit like, I wouldn't say pivotal points in her life, but pretty important moments, like her first battle with Anakin. Anakin's turn to the dark side, essentially, like that time period, when she went to, what was it, Mandalore.
Yeah, we'll get into
So
that next.
yeah, but I don't really agree with Dane's saying,
I don't either.
but that's just me.
I think this is a reminder of her, like, okay, let's get to the heart of the matter, which
Yeah.
is what he's trying to get. It's like, why are we here? You tell me, why are we here? Because you are right, thing there is trauma there, but she's missing the bigger picture, right? Of what he's trying to teach her. And it leads back to the end of the Mandalorian scene where he's like, you didn't listen to a thing I said. All right, let's start from the beginning. You know, um, it ties
Well,
into.
there's something that he says right before that sets up what this whole thing's about, right? Because you know, Ahsoka tells him, he's like, you were dangerous. You're
Well,
more
we'll get into
dangerous
that. Yeah, we'll
than
get.
people.
Yeah,
You know?
we'll get into that. Yeah, and what the overall lesson is, but it's about her being more than just what she remembers, and there's more to this than meets the eye. And we're gonna get to that next because we see that scene, incredible scene with him flashing the Darth Vader, and you're like, okay. I got to mention this because I forgot about it. But that opening thing where she's like, "Live or die," she's like, "I'm not going to fight you," and he says that really great line. Oh, I've heard that before. And I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
god, they pulled Return of the Jedi with Luke. Like, what is happening here? Jesus Christ, what good, that's so good. So then we transition to her on Mandalore. If you don't know it, this is from season 7 of the Clone Wars. At this time, they shoot it. Anakin and Ahsoka separate. She goes and fights the Siege of Mandalore. And Anakin, this is right where episode 3 kicks off, where the Chancellor gets captured. So that's why they're separated. That's why when Anakin comes up, and oh god, when I first saw the Mandalorians getting cut up, I'm like, oh my god, is that Death? Oh, it is. Oh my god, we're going to Mandalore. This is so.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I was losing my mind. And captures the essence, and to see Rex like, we got this, come on guys, I was like, ah, he's in his second part. And then you see her say to him, he comes up, it's like, I don't remember this battle. It's like, oh, this was the Siege of Mandalore. We had separated by this time, and like, I became what you wanted, a warrior. And his lesson to her is what he's trying to get her to see, not seeing it. It's like, and then they start talking about legacy, and he tells her, you are part of a legacy. As Qui-Gon trained Obi-Wan, Obi-Wan trained me, I train you, right? We all pass on what we did to, it's this lineage. And she says, yeah, but mine is death. My lineage is death. And he's like, you're more than that. Yeah, this is a part of you, but you can be much more than that. But then she throws out, well, you were the most powerful and stuff. And he's like, oh, that crap. You want to talk about that? You didn't listen to a damn thing I said. And it's like, all right, start from round 1, live or die. And what really he's saying here through all this is choose to live and be your own person, or choose death and just give up, because that's what your 2 options are. Give up, just accept that this is your fate and this is the way it is, or you can choose life and make your own choices. Yes, these are part of you, but there's more to you and your whole than there is, just this, right? Yeah, this is what I made you, but there's more to Anakin, as he's trying to tell you, than just being Darth Vader. He was a hero. He was a Jedi Knight. Possibly Jedi Master, how you look at it, but he valued people. He was very loyal. I mean, you can see there are good things to Anakin, and then there's horrible things that he becomes later on. But he's like, you don't have to follow my path. That was my path.
Yeah.
You have choices, live or die. I thought this was incredible scene, incredible. Then he kicks her, and I thought it was a great transition where we get to the final fight scene, but he does kick her through the mist, which was so cool. And that scene when Hayden's coming in and he's gone full dark side because he's already pulled out the red lightsaber, and you see him, and they play the music from Duel of the Fates. Dun, dun, dun. I was like, ah, I was losing my mind. And then you see him come through the mist, and that flashes of Vader at the same time, and then you see him truly in full like deteriorated Sith mode. I was losing it. Kate, your thoughts on this scene before we get the thing?
Oh, that scene specifically, I was like losing it, because it's like you knew at that point they were in the point of time where he was in the process of turning into Darth Vader.
Yeah,
I lost it, but I think a lot of it is it's just him trying to get Ahsoka past like her thinking that she has like I don't know, it seems like she's almost like a very like negative thinker in a way when it comes to like about herself, and
yeah,
she's
she
like
holds herself
stuck in
back.
this
I agree.
she's stuck in this like lull a little bit where she's like kind of just existing, but I'm trying to figure out how to describe it, because it's almost like she feels as though her fate is linked with Anakin's.
Yeah, that's why she does that's why she pushes people away. That's why she doesn't, and you see that flip completely once she's been freed of this. You see, like when she hugs Jason, we'll get into that,
but when she finally chooses to live, that's when she realizes like, I'm not the bad parts of Anakin, if that makes sense.
Right.
Like, I'm my own person. I can make my own decisions. Just because my master ended up going towards the dark side does not mean that is my path.
I agree 1,000%. And it was so well shot. That dialogue and the fighting and Anakin he's going out for blood, and when he's
Oh yeah,
had
he wasn't
enough,
holding back.
yeah, that red lightsaber and then to see his face, they did such a good job. One thing I've really loved about this series, the lightsaber fights have been extraordinary. The wide angle to see the actual fights and just it's so well done. The choreography of these fights are so well. You feel the emotion and power in these hits, whether it's Balin with Ahsoka, the way he fought, he was very calm and collected. But when it came time, you felt that force and that blow when you saw the way Ahsoka reacted, and same thing with Anakin. Like he just like knocking her lightsabers and doing all this stuff. You can feel like this presence with his strikes in it. But let's go to Thane. What do you where are you at this with the Siege of Mandalore and to the next scene where you get to the final fight between her and Anakin?
Yeah, this is where, because I mean, obviously, more stuff happens between the episode during these scenes. So this is where, once we get to the Vader part, it's like now all of a sudden, this is where like my biggest issue with the episode is where these scenes felt too short, and we were given a bunch of other scenes that were unnecessary in between. So I feel that by the time we get to the Vader stuff, it's like because the big lesson that Anakin's also trying to get also going to understand is that she keeps only remembering the bad stuff and who Anakin became, and she has forgotten the good man that he was as well, right? So that's why at the end he's like you're more because I'm more than that, right? Like I'm also more than that. So it's like he was that loyal friend, he was that good man, he was that kind, caring person, and she is those things. And it's like ever since we got to Rebels, like that's when I kind of started to dislike Ahsoka's character to begin with was during Rebels because she was a little too detached, a little too, you know, thing is because she kind of went. That's why I never agreed with people saying like, "Oh, she's a gray Jedi," because I'm like, no, she's actually the opposite. She's going like hyper light side because she's scared of going, dark side in any way because, she's scared of going down the path of Vader, and it would have serviced the story. Like, there's a saying of like, show don't tell, right? And we saw scenes, like that first scene where she's like, he tells her like, "Oh, I'm training you to be a soldier," and then that scene of Mandalore where he's like, "Oh, you did a good job here," and but we never got to see her reflect upon like the good moments, the goodness that was Anakin as well. And so by the time we get to the end, it felt short. It felt like there was a lot of stuff missing in the middle. And because this episode was cut up with other, moments of like, hey, Hera, do you want us to keep searching? Do you want us to keep searching? Like, hey, Jason, what do you think? Like, it's like this episode felt very long in the moments that weren't Ahsoka and Anakin, and it felt very short in the moments that were. So it really needed more room to breathe. Because by the time we get to the end, it feels rushed and unearned.
Oh, I disagree with that 1,000%, brother. I mean,
That's
that's your
okay.
opinion. It's subjective. That's his Thane's thought, but I disagree. I think Kate
Yeah,
and me are
because like
both on the scenes were specifically designed to tell the narrative of what was happening. Now, I know we haven't got to the other stuff. I thought that was also very important. We'll get into that here
I
too.
thought that was important.
Oh,
no,
You're
yes.
developing a
kill me.
whole separate storyline. Like it's developing mainly Jason's storyline.
Yeah, pretty
Um,
important character.
which
Um,
we're finding he has, I think, more like connection to the force than a lot of people
yeah,
have
he
given
even
him
says it.
credit for.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I think he's probably going to end up being Ahsoka's Padawan at
Oh,
the
someone
end of
said
all
he's.
this.
What do you think of this? Someone said he's going to be Ezra's Padawan if he comes back. I was like, that's interesting.
Well, so here's how I kind of see
Could
it. Like,
be.
I don't like, I know they keep saying Sabine is the Padawan, but Sabine is not a
She's a
force
hybrid.
user. She's not a force user. So when I think Padawan, I think Jedi, like a
Yeah.
force sensitive Jedi. And I could be totally wrong with my
No,
interpretation of
that's
it,
correct.
but I don't really see Sabine as a Padawan. She's
He's
if
Jedi
anything,
trained. Yeah, it's hard
if
to say.
anything, like Ahsoka's like a mentor in a way, but not with the Force. Like she's trying to teach her how to use the Force because it's the Force is like connects all living things. Like everybody has the Force in them, but
But never, yeah.
I feel like she's gonna eventually, and there's nothing saying she can't have two Padawans. There's been Jedi Masters in the past that have had two.
Yeah, it wasn't until the New Republic, the High Republic, that changed for the Jedi. So yeah, that is absolutely correct. That Jedi Master used to have a couple Padawans, but they went to one for one. 1,000 years ago in the unofficial lore. But that's
Yeah,
absolutely
but
correct.
I think it is setting up for Jason to have a more like prominent storyline, like whether it's in like a next season, set him up of where I think we're gonna see his Jedi training. So I don't think that was unnecessary filler for it because I think we're finding that he's just a lot more force sensitive than a lot of people realize. Like, yeah, King Jarrus is his father, so of course, well, not of course, but there's a good chance
Yeah,
he's
we'll
going
get
to
to
be
that
force
scene. It's
sensitive.
such a
But
fun, great scene.
but going back to Ahsoka and saying like she only remembers the negatives of Anakin, I think that's actually kind of like relatable to life in a way. Like if you have negative experiences with a person, you're probably going to remember the negative over the positive. So I think that's kind of where she was coming from a little bit. And I think a lot of it is just she did not want to go down the same path.
Yeah, she was scared to go down the same path because you saw it in Rebels. If you haven't seen Rebels, since the ending of season 2, Ahsoka lets her anger get the better of her because when Vader's on top of Ezra and he's threatening Ezra and she says that thing, Anakin Skywalker was weak, I destroyed him, and then she looks at him and you see the anger in her eyes. Then I will avenge him. So there is a lot of and it's one of these things where it's like this is the reason why Ahsoka is stuck where she is. Like you said it best. She's in quicksand. She's put herself there. She's put herself in this position. And this gets to the ending part because I thought this was so well done. He's in full Vader mode. He comes at her in full Sith mode, attacking her, and uh, they have their fight. They have that moment too where she gets the upper hand and has the red lightsaber at his throat. And they did such a good job of showing her, actually, her eyes, if you notice, turned the Sith yellow.
Yep.
And then she did like Luke, throws the lightsaber away. Like,
Yeah.
I choose to live. And that's when you see the transition when they did such a good job of him turning back into light side Anakin and saying, "There's hope for you yet," And then the great scene where they show the water coming up and kind of like her being reborn a little bit. She's accepted and learned what the lesson is, and she's accepted at peace at everything that's happened. Right? We've never had an interaction with Anakin and Ahsoka, talking it out, right? Saying, well, you became Vader, and I was scared to do, and having it out, hashing out their things, and no better way to hash things out with a fight, especially a lightsaber fight, and really getting those emotions out, and then her choosing to be more than she
Yeah.
was before, to accept that, okay, the past is the past. You don't know about the future, but live in the now. Be the best you can be now. Can't control the future. The past has already happened. Don't let it control you. Learn from it, grow from it. Yeah, these are things a part of you, but you can be more than that. And I think that's what the lesson was. Thane, the final sequence, still Vader popping in with Anakin as he's approaching her. I was just freaking out, dude. I was like, oh my God, who's she gonna fight? Is it gonna be Anakin, Vader, or
Well, you
armored
kind of
Vader?
knew it was gonna be like
Oh my God.
some sort of, well, it was ended up being like a little bit of both.
Oh, so good. Thane, your final thoughts on the final fight here in Lesson.
Yeah, again, like the like I said earlier, like it feels unearned by the end. But that aside, again, Hayden Christensen's acting is incredible. Him being able to turn into that Vader mode just like that, like, and it wasn't even like a quick flash. It was like you saw the mental processes in his face while he's getting into that mode. I've said this before, but I don't like the the Disney era lightsaber fights because they used the plastic one, so the impacts don't have weights. But then Hayden Christensen comes back, who actually trained with like the old style metal rod for the prequel eras, and oh man, you can feel those impacts now. It was like when I was seeing him fight, I was like, oh hell yeah, like it's because he's got that old school training, and I was like, you actually felt like the weight of the impacts with him, and you could see him like even early on, like him like actually you could tell it's funny because like she gets that lucky kick in the start, but it's like the entire time you could just tell that he's just on a league of his own in terms of skill and power and stuff. And then by that end scene, it's like it's kind of exemplifies that, right? And then she's able to get that little last maneuver on him and stuff, and she's able to say like, hey, like I choose life. But again, like it's that part of it is good. It's just everything else that happens in the middle and stuff that it's like it's messy. But yeah,
okay.
that last
That's what
moment
you think.
was good.
That's all right. I will say that I have noticed a big difference, and you can say whether you like Kenobi or not. That's the series itself. But the fight between Kenobi and Vader in that final fight was phenomenal. And I've noticed since that fight in the lightsaber fights, way better in the style and the way they fight and handle lightsabers. Very powerful motions, very fluid. The stances are very samurai in some of the stances, and some are very, some of that Chinese martial arts, but it's very, you feel it more. And then
a lot of that might go back to what Thane was saying with the training they received. Like
could be.
They were both prequel training.
Yeah.
Well, because here's the difference, right? For the listeners that don't know the difference. So in the Disney era, they're using the plastic lightsabers that light up in order to do it. So the actors need to be a little more careful with the strikes so they don't break. But in the prequel era, they were actually using metal rods that were like taped up with green, and then they would change the color in post-production.
They break those suckers all the time.
So they were breaking those metal rods. They were going to ham.
Did you guys see? Did you see the one where they were showing episode 1 and they kept working on the Darth Maul Obi-Wan fight, and every take he'd had to take the metal rod, put it in between some metal, and twist it so he could get it back to where it was, so they can go back and do it again because it would bend after a while.
Yeah,
it was wild.
In the prequels, like they would literally, like if you go back and you look at like behind the screen footage of Revenge of the Sith, like man, like you could tell like the trust between Hayden and Obi-Wan must have been great, because you could tell that like if one of those guys did not block the hit, that shit was gonna hurt.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I'm pretty sure in real life, Ewan and Hayden are. I'm pretty sure I've seen that they're pretty good friends.
Oh, they're closest friends. So yeah.
Yeah, and you need trust if you're gonna be doing.
Oh yeah, you're gonna get owies all over the place. Kate, final thoughts on this final scene between Anakin and Asoka?
I really enjoyed it. It's kind of like you went through a timeline of their relationship and everything they've been through, and then, and even the last scene when he kind of goes back, it's Anakin going back to the light side like he did at the end of the movies. So yeah. I think it really encompasses like his whole journey.
That's my question to you guys. What do you think he is? Because I'm really torn between this. He's not a Force ghost in a sense.
He's not. He's almost like.
But he's not a full Mortis god. He's not a full Celestial either. What the hell is he? Is he like that's one thing I wish that we could have found out more.
Well, isn't this all like essentially in like Ahsoka's mind?
Right, but the world between worlds. If you look at that concept, it goes outside time and space and all this other thing. So when the Force,
I get it, but essentially it's almost like not a figment of the imagination.
No, this really happened, because we'll get into Jason, because he hears it. So this actually.
Oh yeah, no, it happens, but.
But what is he? I mean.
He's not a Force ghost.
No. It's so cool to think about it, though. I love theorizing about this stuff. Like, what is he? Is he?
But I'm not mad, because I know, like we were talking. I think the first episode we did this because we knew Hayden Christensen was coming back, but we didn't know how, so we thought Force ghost. And I thought if he was going to come back, he was going to come back as a Force ghost, and kind of like I did think he was going to teach her a lesson of some sort.
Yeah, we all called this one.
I do like how they did it this way because you literally have gone through their whole journey. And I mean, even if you didn't see like Clone Wars, you kind of like wraps gives you like a really quick snippet of it.
Yeah, and I loved how they shot this with the Clone Wars and the Battle of Siege of Mandalore because unlike the animation, which is great, don't get me wrong, but man, you see the brutality of war, like these
Oh yeah.
battles, and that Ahsoka was like a child. People
Oh,
forget
she was a child, yes.
that a lot of Padawans for the Jedi Order became soldiers,
Well, you know the
basically.
crazy thing? Like we were watching it, like I was watching it and I was like, oh my God, she's so young. It's like during the cartoon version of it, it didn't register how young she actually is. Cause
Yeah,
I mean, it comes across differently with cartoons, but like watching the young girl player, it's just like, oh my God, like it didn't click how young she actually was for
yeah,
me. And then to see all that at that age is just
it's incredible.
crazy.
Yeah,
So
yeah, go ahead, thing.
to answer your question, as far as like what is he, um, because like this is something that like is kind of manifesting inside of Ahsoka's mind because she herself was not in the world between worlds, right? So like, it was almost like it was, it's not necessarily forced projection, but it was more like everything that was happening in like inside her mind. So I don't think that the rules of force, ghost, or corporeal kind of play into play. Like I think Jason
Sure.
being able to hear the lightsaber battles was just because it was
Hearing her in her
through the
mind.
like yeah, kind of hearing it like it through the mind because like she was kind of projecting that. It's kind of like Anakin was reaching out to her through the Force, and then she was also projecting it, and so Jason was able to hear it through the Force, kind of a thing.
That makes sense, but I still want to know what Anakin is because I think he's something more, and they plan on doing something more with that character. I just have a feeling, with as popular as he's become,
You don't think it's going to be the last time we see Anakin?
no, maybe in this season, but it sounds like as popular as Ahsoka has been, and it's been blowing up last couple of weeks. If they do season two, I'd love to see her go back and have a final conversation and just say goodbye or say what she really wants to tell Anakin. Have them have that moment. I think that would be really awesome. To see the full
Yeah.
turn of everything they've been through and everything that's happened to them.
God, I would love to see Rex come back
Oh
onto
my
Ahsoka.
God.
I would love that.
I don't know if he's still around. I know he was in the Battle of
Yeah,
Endor, but
he
Well,
might be out of the past. Yeah.
I don't know. It'd be cool. I
he
mean, just
was around for a while, but I guess it depends when the timelines fall.
yeah, this is 6 years after Return of the Jedi, 7 years.
That
So
means
yeah,
it's like
I
12
mean,
years for him.
yeah.
wasn't
So
he in?
he was in Rebels, yeah, and he
He
was
was
in
in.
the Battle of Endor because they made that canon.
Yeah,
So yeah, he's
Yeah, he would have
yeah.
been like over 100.
I mean, technically, he's a
we'll
clone.
figure it out.
He
Yeah, yeah,
could be
yeah.
alive.
Hell, they could bring Ewan McGregor in as Kenobi and go, "Hello there," to Ahsoka, and I'm like,
What if that's
"Ah!"
like her next lesson?
Oh my God, if it's
Her next
Kenobi,
lesson is Ewan
oh
McGregor.
my God, don't tempt me, Frodo. Oh, I'll lose my shit
the
if Ewan McGregor comes in for that.
I just I just remembered something. So Force ghosts are actually can actually be corporeal because if you remember
Oh yeah,
in
yeah,
the Last Jedi, Yoda when he presents himself against in front of Luke, he is corporeal.
yeah. Old Ben
So
was. I mean, yeah, Ben and Return of the Jedi. Remember he moves through brush and sits down on a log and all that kind of stuff. So yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it
but what
makes
I mean is
sense.
like he's not like that translucent, like
No, he
you know.
was. Yeah. So we'll
No.
we'll we'll, we'll say that for later. So let's get to the stuff on the planet. We have this incredible scene where they're looking for what's happening. Huang's talking about like the odds and not good, and we have to start thinking what could have what happened if we can't find him. And then Jason starts feeling in the force, starts hearing the battle, and he's like, "Mom," he's like, "Not, give me a second." She's trying to figure stuff out, and he's like, "No, I." And I love the way they did it. She didn't put dismiss him. It's just like, "This, give me a second, hon." And he said, "No, you." And she could tell their relationship is close because she comes over, "All right, kiddo, what do you got for me?" He's like,
Mhm.
"Don't you hear it? Hear what?" And she didn't, you know, question him like, "What are you, weirdo? What are you talking about? Crazy kid." Like, you hear it, and she knows because his father was
Well,
Kanan.
yeah, there's
Here's
Kanan.
that, and then we don't really know if she hears it, but she senses something. It felt like to me she senses like there's something going on here. He hears it, and then she's like, okay, we're going to go do the sweep. I love the guy that plays the pilot. I can't remember his name. He's like, what are we doing? We're going to scan it again. And like, okay,
Carson
and
Teva.
Carson
Yeah.
Teva, and then Hyang's line is like, Jason's father was Kanan Jarrus, and he has certain abilities and and stuff. And then the guy, his reaction, like, oh, okay, Jedi shit. Okay, cool, let's go. He didn't even question. He's like,
I
oh,
liked
okay.
his reaction,
I was
but
like,
also
oh, okay.
that's just telling people who
Yeah, see,
didn't watch Rebels
yeah,
essentially like why Jason is like this, because Hera is not force sensitive.
no. And
But
there's also mention of Senator Organa can't cover for them anymore. That was one of the
yeah,
things. So I
yeah.
thought this was a great
I
scene,
thought it
man.
was like amazing how like Jason's hearing it, but then like he can get Hera to a point where it's like because you're all connecting with the force in a way, and she's able to like just
She
take it
feels
in.
something. She tells that
Yeah.
there's something there. She doesn't have the abilities he does, but she kind of looks in that look she gives him is like, I got you, kid.
Yeah. Like she believes him. Like
Yeah,
she's
she
like, all right,
doesn't
I'm
question him
feeling
about.
something.
Yeah, it was such a powerful moment, and Huang's line, and then the guy's reaction. I just like cracking up. It just, oh, okay, oh shit, oh, Jedi, okay, blood, got it, okay, Kanan,
I
okay, I
loved
got.
it. Yeah,
It's
he's
so
just like,
good.
all right, Jedi
Uh,
stuff. I'm gonna
Dane,
go over here.
what did you think, buddy?
This scene was fine. I don't think that she sensed anything. I think that she just trusted her son,
That could be the
which to
case.
me is more
Okay.
powerful. Like, to me is more powerful that like she's like, I don't feel anything, but I can tell that this guy does. So I'm gonna trust him, And I think that that's, you know, kind of a better message like to parents and us as a society as a whole. Is like, hey, listen to your kids sometimes, like because
They're
it's
not
like,
all
you
Rugrats.
know,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like they're not all like it's like trust them, like and I think that shows her character and stuff because she she like the reason she's a good leader is because she knows when to give orders and she knows when to follow. And in that moment, she was like giving out orders to everybody and stuff, but she trusted him. She's like, okay, kid, I trust you. Like even like when they were looking around later on, like we can go, we'll talk about it a little more. But she almost like was giving up hope, but she's like, I trust my son. Let's keep going.
Yeah, and well, then you have the quick scene, and we're gonna cover these a little bit quicker because it is, we've been recording for a hot minute, but there's a great scene between Hera and Huang, and they have this dialogue, and it's like he tells her the reason people follow you is because you care, and because you care,
Yeah.
people sense that, and then the great dialogue between them, and talking about Asoka and and her master. I love the line. It's like, yeah, she is tenacious. What about her master?
He was
Intense.
intense.
He was intense.
I thought I started cracking up with that. I
Oh
was
my
like,
god, it's so
oh
good.
man.
But they eventually find Ahsoka. We see her kind of have this moment. Then she wakes up, and then you see her demeanor's completely changed. Like she's had an
Yes.
awakening. You see it when Jason comes in and says Ahsoka, and she gives him a hug, and he's like, "I heard your lightsaber fight." She's like, "You did?" And then we have two things happen. Jason goes on to the Jedi ship, which was such a great dialogue between Huang and Jason. It's like, you have a training room? Yes. Can you train me? No.
No.
You
I
know how to
thought
build
that was great.
lightsabers? Yes.
Good
Can you
movie.
show me how to build one?
No.
No. It's such good
I thought
shit.
that was so great.
And then you also have the scene where Ahsoka uses Force. I can't remember what it's called. Psychometry, where you can feel echoes to the Force in objects.
Seeing the memories. I forget what
Yeah,
she called it, but it's basically
yeah.
she
Seeing the
felt the
memories, she
memory.
sees what
Yeah.
happens, and then they have to figure out how to get do their thing. And she figures out it's the whales, which is an incredible scene. Where you see Ahsoka now in the white. People are making Ahsoka the white like Gandalf the white, which is fine.
I saw about that, but I'm
Uh,
like, I don't get the
whatever.
reference because I've never
You've never seen it. I have. I'm like, okay, that's true. But
I guess I gotta watch it.
really good. And then you have the whole thing with them delaying the fleet, and then there's a scene with Momo and Hera where like, yeah, you're in big trouble, and Hera's like, we're we're losing here. You keeping score? We're getting our ass kicked, kind of thing. Um, and then we have the scene with the whales, which was incredible. I mean, just incredible. The fleet comes in, to get a hair in them, and then Carson's banter was really great.
Oh, that
That
was
was so
amazing.
good.
I was
All
like,
right,
you're not gonna believe me.
you're not gonna believe me, and then they see the whales coming, and like you might need a clear path. And there's I love the way they shot this, where you see the whales passing, but you see people in the ships, whether it's the fighters or whatnot, just looking in just awe of them. Like,
I would be too.
what the hell? And Jason, everybody has these moments with the whale. I love what Asoka gets inside the whale, and it's a Pinocchio moment. And I love the last thing I'll say before I let you guys give your final thoughts on these scenes and stuff. But they're inside, and it's like, how do we know that this is going to take us to where they're at? Kind of thing. It's like, I don't. What? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, going somewhere is better than going nowhere. She's kind of accepted believing in the force and all this stuff. I was like, yes, here we go. So, Kate, we'll go to you first, and Thane, we'll give your thoughts. Kate, all these different scenes and moments of not the Anakin Ahsoka confrontation is what I'm calling it. Stuff that stood out to you, favorite moments, this whole thing. I mean, what really worked for you, or if anything didn't work for you, that kind of thing.
I mean, I just really enjoyed the whole like going back and seeing Ahsoka and Anakin's like almost like whole relationship played out. Like I freaked out when like you have young Ahsoka. She had her lightsaber, like it was the old one. Like I really enjoyed like that whole sequence, which was majority of the episode.
What
But
about the sequence that I just described? All the scenes on the outside on the planet with
with
Jason and them searching and finding her, and then her using and the whales, all that stuff.
I thought that was cool. I mean, it's a setup for next week, which I'm like, oh man, it sounds like we might actually get Ezra too. But then it's like in my mind, I'm like, oh God, who are we going to find first? Are we going to find Ezra or Thrawn first? Because if you find Thrawn first, that could be how he comes back because you don't have Ezra. I don't know.
Yeah, it just seems to me, before we go to thing, that I think this next one's going to, when they get there, they're going to get the backstory of what happened after Rebels, after the whales take off with Thrawn and Ezra, right? What happened? It was a whole ship full of Empire people with the Thrawn and Ezra. What did they do? How did they survive?
Do you think it could be like a whole episode kind of like saying what happened?
Well, I think it's going to be in two phases. Yeah, they got to do some kind of explanation of like, whether it's from the bad guy's point of view of looking for Thrawn and Ahsoka's view, like, what you been up to, guys, for the last 6-7 years since we last saw you, or longer, right? You being cool? Are you guys fighting? What are you doing? It'll be interesting to see what they come up to and the explanation. I'm really looking forward to. I think that's what 6 is going to do, and then 7 and 8 leads into the big stuff. So I think 6 is going to be more of a setup backstory, explaining some things from their different characters' perspective. So, Thane, overall thoughts on the ending of the scenes where I just talked about with the wells and everything else like that? I mean, your final thoughts on this final stuff?
Yeah, these are the scenes that really dragged on for me and really like made me not enjoy the episode. Like I said, like these scenes just felt like they went on forever. That whale scene, like at the end, it was it's never a good thing when like I'm like thinking to myself like, when is this gonna be over for the last 10 minutes or so, and I'm just like, yeah, it was just a lot of like, like, hey, are we, how many, like, even the X-Wings, like, how many times are we going to keep going around? I'm like, yes, how many times are we going to go wasting our time in these pointless scenes? Like, what
do you mean? They're looking for an ally in the front, you psychopath. It takes as many times as
we don't need to see that in the episode,
yes,
like,
we do, damn it. Oh my God. Remind me not to be in a survival situation with you.
You're acting like it's like the whole episode.
Hey, the Ranger's a Ranger. He'll survive. We don't need to see
it. It was like they literally implied that they'd been doing like searching for a while. God, you didn't see the whole
10 seconds of the X-Wing things like, ah!
Yeah, those scenes dragged on. Like, it could have been better service by expanding on the scenes with Anakin and Ahsoka. The Anakin and Ahsoka stuff, like I said earlier, it just, like, by the end of the time, it just felt rushed because we were wasting our time with all these other pointless scenes on the outside that were just kind of doing the same thing over and over and over again. And while it does have little moments that were good within them, it doesn't justify the scene as a whole. It could have been trimmed down or just not happened at all in a lot of those cases. This episode is long enough as it is. And then you add those extra scenes that feel like they just drag on for much longer than they really do.
I don't think they were long enough, man. Good Lord.
I mean, I wouldn't have wanted the in between scenes any longer, but I think they got the point across.
There were story plots to that. There's Ahsoka figuring shit out. There's
they got the story
Ahsoka
across,
going to the wells. She has to talk to the wells. It's not like she go like, "Hey guys, give me a ride."
But because the other scenes had dragged on for so long, by the time we get to that point, it's like you're just kind of like, I'm just like, but honestly, by the time like she woke up, like, the next day, I was like, why isn't this part of the next episode? Like, it should have ended with her like being rescued in the water. Like the episode by that point in time, it felt like long in those scenes. It just dragged on. They weren't all that overly interesting, and they just, like, even like I said, like even the X-Wing pilot, he's like how much more time are we going to be doing this, and like I said, even though there was like little moments that were like, that were good, the scene as a whole they just didn't work for me, and it really bogs down the episode as a whole for me.
I disagree. They had to show that scene and they had to say those things because you had to show that they were committed, and it's like, listen, it's going to take as long as it bloody takes, so.
No, it's sloppy storytelling, man.
That's a horrible take.
Well, you can't just go be like, let me go on the whale and go here.
Thane's got his opinion, like it or not, respect it or not. That's what it is, and that's the way Thane feels. Let him.
Yeah, well, I mean, the whale scene was a little bit long in and of itself, but everything, like all those outside scenes, felt long. Like, but. Like if it was just the whale scene that felt a little long, it's like, okay, sure, but it's just all these unnecessary scenes that could have been used to expand on the Anakin and Ahsoka stuff.
No, I think the dialogue was very important.
But like,
the character moments were important.
What did you want Hera to do? Just like sit there?
They can show us they're looking, but they didn't have to show us that much that she's.
They did just show that you were looking.
Yeah, no, they had a moment while they're doing it. They had a really important moment between Hera and Hugh.
It was not that long.
No, like trust me.
I can't wait for this next part. I can't wait for this next part. We're going to give our rating. This one for me is.
Oh boy.
Oh God, let's just go to Thane, Kate, and then we'll give ours because I have a bad feeling about this. Never tell me the odds. All right, Thane, out of 5, what are you giving this episode?
2.5.
Oh my God. All right, Kate, what are you giving it?
I'm gonna say like a 4.5 choppers.
Yeah. I'm gonna go 5 choppers to even out the horrible thing that the thing has done with the average here. My God in heaven. Let's get that average to 3.25 so Kate can get a little bit higher. Good God and gravy. So, hey, those are our thoughts. Tell us what you guys think in the comments, what you thought of Ahsoka overall in the episode. And then, don't know the title next week, but next week, we're going to get into the...
throwing it at Zero.
Oh my God. These episodes, man, just 4, 5, now 6 if it hits, man.
There's 8, right?
There's 8 total, yeah. Total? Yeah, I think the next 3 are going to be like the next story arc, right? We got this part, and then, the next, they're going to really tie in. Here comes Thrawn, your host, kind of thing, So
you really think about it, they got a lot of like stories to. I know they probably don't want to wrap them up because I'm assuming we're probably going to get a season 2.
Yeah,
but like, what are they going to do like about Balin?
I don't know. That's the fun part.
Oh, he's dying. He's dying.
We don't know that.
You don't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, he's dying.
My God!
I'm surprised he survived this long. He's dying. First of all, we've already lost the actor, so he's dying.
That could such
happen.
A depressing way.
I know it's death. Like I said, life, happiness, here. Death over here.
Like, I know the actor passed away in real life, but that doesn't mean he has to die in the show.
But no, Balin and Shin, I really want to see what happens with them, and They've got
I
a.
think she's going
training
dark
her.
side. She's going
I
dark
think
Oh,
side.
she's going
I
hard
Shin
dark
takes him
side.
down.
Yeah, but
I think Shin is the one that does him in.
that would be stupid.
No,
Yeah,
man,
I
come
think
on.
so.
I think Shin's gonna eventually become like Thrawn's right hand person.
The only-
Kind of like how
Yeah.
Mara Jade was.
Yeah, I could see
Yeah,
in a
exactly.
moment.
Kind of like
Yeah.
that.
You remember that scene if you've watched the old Republic cinematics from the game Star Wars, the old Republic,
I haven't
the two
seen it.
brothers. Oh, you should watch them, Kate. They're
yeah.
unbelievable.
Okay.
But there's a scene where the one brother pulls a twin toward him, and he's in the full dark side rage moment, trying to kill the father. And he
Mhm.
didn't mean to. He loved his brother more than anything. But in that moment, he rages and actually kills his brother, kind of thing. I
Oh
think
geez.
That's what I think.
yeah, watch it, Kate. It's unbelievable. But watch it from start to finish. They got the whole thing. It'll take about 40 minutes, and you'll be like, "Why can Star Wars be like this?" Kind of thing. But yeah, I think if there was a moment like that where he's trying to stop Shin to do something really bad, but the dark side overwhelms her and she kills him that way, not on purpose, that would make sense to me. But if she's like, "I'm going to be in charge now," I'm
No,
like,
no, no.
The first one makes sense more so because she like I am convinced her lightsaber is getting progressively more red.
I do too. That last one
Um,
really showed it.
Yeah, I was like, that's definitely not orange. Whereas he has an orange saber, and I think it'll just be, I think it'll be kind of like what you're describing.
It's going to be
anything.
Yeah,
fascinating.
because
Yeah, go
we
ahead, Thane.
saw it like when she was force choking Sabine, and he's like, "Hey, let her go," kind of a thing. And you could tell that she was not having it. She was like, she almost gave him a side eye, like like you little bee, It's like, so it's like
Yeah,
she
but
didn't
she
want to do
did
it. So
I don't know. We'll see.
she didn't listen. So I think that like kind of like you said, right, where it's like in the heat of the moment where like he's trying to be like, hey, that's enough, and she cuts him down. But yeah,
That's the only way.
that's why I was thinking the same line as Kate, where she's going to be kind of like that Rook character that we saw in the old Thrawn novels.
That could be, yeah.
Because and yeah, like like the like Kate was saying, she could be like a combination of Rook and Mara Jade.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Filoni's doing a masterful job of pulling little bits here, little bits there. The Heir to the Empire trilogy and stuff, and I'm all for
Oh,
it.
if they brought in like Marge,
I'll lose my shit. That's my favorite
yes.
women in Star Wars. Period. End of discussion. So, all right, let us know in the comments what you think. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe. We'll be back next week for episode 6. May the Force be with you, and we'll see you next week.